love the way it just drops us right in unceremoniously.
And we need like a proper intro. We need
yeah. Who wants to make us a intro video that we will play every week? We'll do a contest, and we'll play it every week as our intro for live streams.
I feel like Viper should do it. You should have,
He'll get us restricted mode because he'll yell and get us restricted. Yes.
I want like the calm Viper introduction. Like I seen like he's been doing like test videos where it's like, let me see if this gets in restricted mode.
Actually, I haven't watched the videos yet. I just heard he was testing.
No, I mean it's like an awful problem because like that's like Viper's appeal is he has all that energy, but like he's like doing like a test video. He's like, and it's just like him with like zero energy, and I'm just like,
what is it? I gotta watch that now. Now I'm completely.
No, what is this?
I'm so like I want to watch it now. Oh my god. 1 second. Okay, so do we want to we'll say hi people in the chat. Hey everybody in the chat. Hello.
Hello.
Boom boom. Boom boom. Boom boom. Boom boom. Boom boom. Boom boom. Boom. Okay. Let me get over here. Let me put up this thing and then we will go live, or we will do our podcast and then we'll play around later. Yeah, Mike's got a new call. Okay, there we go. Right there. Oh, Peter, we appreciate you on Facebook.
The lone Facebook watcher.
The lone Facebook person. Everyone else is over here on YouTube. That's all right, though, because this is how we do it, ladies and gentlemen. We are having the funds. Okay? You ready to do this?
Let's do this.
All right. The new GadgetCast in 3, 2, 1, record.
Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0.
Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of the GadgetCast. My name is Gregory McFadden, joined always with my co-host Travis MCP.
Space travel.
And we're back at it again. Hope everyone is excited to have some more GadgetCast fun because we are here once again. Yeah. Can you believe it?
Yeah, listen, Travis and I do read the comments sometimes and the reviews and everything. And on the last live stream, there was a comment that caught my attention because it was like 2 people talking back and forth, and they were like, I feel like Travis and Greg don't want to do this show anymore, and they're kind of forced to do it. And I thought that was funny because I was like, well. I mean, there's no one forcing us to do the show. It's not like the show is like a giant moneymaker and it's like, we got to go do the show together every week. And, it's not like Travis and I have like a contract that we can't break. Like we could cancel the show right now. I could just say, let's cancel it 1 minute, 30 seconds in. And, that would be that. So
forever.
Yeah, that would be that. Yeah. I mean, if the show does end, I think that's how, we'll get on for like 2 minutes. Be like, it's over.
It's over. That's a wrap. But no, we're having fun.
I still enjoy doing GadgetCast every week. I don't know. Apparently, I think it's because, it's hard to fit in a show every week. And Travis and myself are extremely busy people. So I know a lot of the people like the after show content. And I think for probably like the past 2 months, like we've been kind of jumping off quick on after show stuff. So, we'll probably do some of that today. We're probably going to try and do like a shorter show so we can fit some after show in. I mean, maybe the whole show should just be after show.
I know, right? Just an after show. Just after show. Because, the normal show isn't all that great. So why not? Like the actual show isn't awesome.
Whoa. Listen.
No, we're good. We just need to have, you know what we need to do? The thing is, we haven't ranked in Apple for a long time, and the reason why is because people aren't leaving us reviews. And as just as a point of clarification, we grew the biggest and the fastest when we had people leaving reviews on Apple Podcasts. And the reason for that, I just want to tell you why, is because the vast majority of the listeners for this podcast and people in the world are on Apple Podcasts, believe it or not. And the reality is this: if you leave a review, especially if it's 5 stars, and a lot of people do it, it helps us rank up and get searched and discovered by more people. And when that happens, then we do more. We have cooler guests like we did the last couple of months, and we get to do cool things. So, I mean, leave us a review on Apple. Tell them how to do that real quick, Greg.
You just go to the podcast app. The Apple Podcast app ships defaultly on every single Apple device they sell: iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, all that stuff. You just scroll to the bottom under GadgetCast, and you will see a leave a review system, and it's like a star rating. Leave us 5 stars. If you want to write something out, you can do that too. Travis and I do read those all the time, and we're like, "Ooh, someone said this about the show."
Yep.
So I think you know what? We'll put that call to action for this week. If you write something nice, leave us a review. Even if it's a 1-star review, I'll read it on next week's show. I'll make that pledge to you. We'll read the reviews on next week's show. So if you got something to say, that's the best way to get featured on the show.
But don't leave a 1 star. This is a joke.
Yeah, don't leave it, but you could. And
you could, but don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
So someone said check the email.
Yeah, the email is a disaster. So
Lord.
we're gonna save that for next week's show because we got to get into some stuff here.
All right.
And, listen, we did last week's show, and I believe we said to expect an Apple event announcement because John Prosser and a couple other Apple leakers were like, yeah, March 23rd is gonna be the day of this supposed Apple event. And John Prosser is usually pretty reliable. We usually quote his exclusives on the show. John Prosser used to leak stuff on this show. Why did he ever do that? From a you see how John Prosser has grown now that he just started leaking stuff on his channel. Go back to the early episodes of GadgetCast, find an episode with John Prosser in it, and this guy, and John Prosser is a really smart guy, so I don't know why he did this, but he would come watch our show, and all of a sudden he'd be like, Apple's doing this, Apple's doing that. And he would just leak it on GadgetCast, which I always thought was the strangest thing. I'm like, you got your own show. Why aren't you leaking it there? I think it would do well. And that was weird. That was a weird period of GadgetCast where we had the exclusive leaks. We were breaking news. Remember that?
Yeah, man, those were the good old days. But that's because GadgetCast in its heyday was amazing. We're on the back 9 now, apparently, according to people in the comment section.
I'm sorry. Now that I'm realizing that the commenters were right. I think we are on the it's okay. GadgetCast.
Yeah, no, listen, at the end of the day, we're still here. Listen, we're still enjoying it for as long as we enjoy it. We're doing it. I don't know what people are talking about. There's been some things I've had to get done right after the podcast because this is when I do the podcast, when I do the live stream, it's from 2 to 3 p.m. my time, and there's just some things on a Sunday that I have to get done. Today is another one of those days where I literally have to do something right after the podcast. So we're just going to make the audio portion a little bit shorter. So let's get right into some of those things, which would be what, Gregory?
Well, we were supposed to have an Apple event, and we didn't have one. So I feel like we need to update people on that because the invites probably go out, and we'll be talking about it next show. Well, now it's the next show. The invites never went out, and all the people in Apple leak land are now saying April. And I won't name certain leakers. I won't name them. But there was a couple ones who were announcement definitely today. John Prosser did say that, but there were people the day of going, no, it's definitely happening today. I know it's happening today. And it just never happened. And now John Prosser has to shave his eyebrows, which I think is pretty funny.
That is, I would never bet anything like that. I mean, the thing is, we kind of know a little bit about John's sources and how good they are. So it is kind of surprising that he was he was wrong. But there's no one with any significant number of leaks that has 100% anyway, right? So, but it is interesting how many people got this wrong, and it makes you wonder: were they using similar sources, or were they just kind of leveraging maybe John saying it and someone else saying it. Oh, John's been right over this. I don't know. But, leaks are kind of this weird thing, man, where, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, you get all the clout if you're right, you fall over if you don't, you shave your eyebrows, apparently, if you get it really wrong, which, again, man, I just would never do anything like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I'm never making that bet. These are award-winning eyebrows you got here. So, I can't risk that. Yeah. So no event, which is interesting. I wonder if they'll even do an event. Now, John Prosser is saying an April event. He seems to be pretty sure about it. I almost wonder if they'll just do another product release, no event. I mean, I think a lot of these products don't need too much explanation. A new iPad Pro is pretty easy to explain. The AirTag stuff, it's a new product, but it's such a basic idea that it really doesn't require a huge amount of stage time.
Yeah. And
even other things, like maybe we'll get like AirPods 3. I mean, people know what these products are already. So I can see Apple maybe just skipping the event. But, I feel like there's a lot of products that they have to release eventually. And it seems like this would be the time to do it.
Yeah. And, the thing is, like, Apple doesn't need to do any of these presentations except for what WWDC and the Apple, the iPhone. They don't ever have to do these.
They probably don't even have to do the iPhone event at this point. Like, honestly, like they probably don't have to do it. They just have to release the products. And I wonder how much the events like actually help with like sales and stuff. But the iPhone's obviously like a huge product, so they want to create fanfare around it.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. The only real events they kind of have to do is WWDC, because that's more a developer event. So they want to get their developers like, up to date on the latest software that they're releasing. So yeah, they absolutely have to do an event around that. And then I guess the iPhone is such an important product that you don't want to jinx it and not do an event. Like, what if the sales are awful because they didn't do an event? That would just be Tim Cook's last year as CEO if they made a mistake like that. So yeah, those are the two events they have to do.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think what we found out about Apple last year is that they can do these virtual events perhaps better than they can do their normal events in some way, right? Like they're so spectacular. The cinematography is kind of great. Like it's just weirdly wonderful. And I will say that it made Samsung step their game up a little bit too, because even their presentation has been pretty good as of late. I watched the A series of phones get announced just the other day, and theirs was pretty good too. The thing is, again, these things aren't necessary, and we've seen some fairly big products get launched without, a presentation. So it's not out of the left field that they could just say, you know what, we're just going to drop a press release. They're probably not going to, because if you look at it, first of all, AirTags, you don't need any kind of announcement for, really. The new iPad Pro, I don't know. Did they do one for the 2020 version? I'm trying to remember. Did they actually do an event for that?
No, it's just a press release.
Well, rightfully so, because there's really no difference. As everyone knows, we're still salty about that. But if they do have the new, mini LED and stuff like that, you probably do want to have some of their little slick videos they have about that. So, okay. And then the new AirPods, you probably want to do something for that, because AirPods in general are just such a monster seller that you do kind of want to hype that up. So, while I could see them not having to do it, I think they probably will, just because there are a couple of banger products that are coming out. But I think anymore moving forward this year, like anything's on the table. Maybe you just don't do for some products. There it is. Just buy it. Just go buy it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the strategy. But I think the lesson here is that there's going to be new products probably in April, I'm guessing. What really solidifies this for me is that Mark Gurman, who is no stranger to the topics we discuss on this show, also said that, like, hey, iPad is coming in April. And, if you know the history between Mark Gurman and John Prosser, they're usually button heads. So they're both saying April. I feel like that's as close as you can get to confirmed with two different sources going at it.
So we've talked about those products before, but some other interesting stuff happened in the past week with some commercials that came out. And I want to real quick mention that I did a video about this, the M1 Mac and Intel doing these commercials. And I got a surprising amount of interesting comments, which I was blown away by on that video, talking about how I pronounced Intel. Which I didn't know there was any kind of controversy, because it's either Intel or Intel. And either way, they sound pretty damn similar to me. But I got a lot of people in my comments that were completely like triggered by this. And I'm like, what? So I looked it up online. I'm like, what were they triggered about? It's like Intel. I think they're triggered because I was just saying it fast. I was saying Intel rather than Intel. But it's the same damn. It's like I'm saying tomato. That's not what's happening here. I'm putting a slightly different emphasis on a different part of the word and not pronouncing it really any differently than putting a little bit of different. I don't understand this. It's like me saying Greg versus Gureg. I don't know. That's not even accurate either. I don't know. What do you think? How do you say it?
Intel.
But if someone says,
is that the right way to say it?
I don't know.
The wrong way.
If I say Intel, do you not all of a sudden, do you get triggered by that? Is that like, oh, that's not how you say it?
We talked about Intel a lot on the show, and I've never noticed it sounding weird.
I don't know that I always say it that way. I want to be clear. I only said that like 2 or 3, maybe 2 times or something in that video at all. But I got one person said he couldn't even finish watching the video because I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you freaking serious right now? Like, everyone loved what I was talking about, but they were like, Intel. What? Like, this is actually the best one right here. The Poets in the chat says the correct way to pronounce Intel is AMD, which is it's really good. So I don't know. Tell us, leave us a voicemail or whatever, and tell us how you pronounce Intel. I would love to hear it in a voicemail. If you go to the show notes, you can go to our Anchor page and leave us a voicemail and I would love to hear how everyone pronounces Intel.
Intel.
It's just crazy. I don't know that it's that big of a deal. I mean, is it I just don't get, like, I understand if someone says tomato, like that's like, oh, you pronounce that funny or whatever. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But their commercials do matter.
Oh, well, I was going to say, as long as we're sharing stories about the way you pronounce things in videos, apparently I don't pronounce, I'll probably pronounce it right now. Button. I leave out the T, like button.
Oh, you go button?
Yeah. And people, whenever I say, people are like, what are you saying? Button? It's button. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just talk. It's fine. You knew what I meant. Come on.
I love the grammar police to come through and criticize people making YouTube videos of yet.
Oh,
of course,
it's not even grammar police. It's like pronunciation. And like, if you live in certain areas of the country or the world, you like pronounce things differently. Like you drop sounds altogether sometimes. Like apparently I don't pronounce the T in button. So I have to make like a conscious effort to say button. And then it sounds a little too strong. Like I'm trying, like I can't, I don't know. Intel. Anyway, I
don't know. It's the same damn thing. I don't know, but go ahead. Anyway, they did a Intel. I'll say it both ways for people who get triggered on both sides. Dropped a couple commercials. I have my own thoughts on it, which I will say after Greg gives his thoughts on it. But they did a couple commercials. For those who don't know, Greg, can you quickly go over what happened this week?
Sure. So back in the day, Apple had a really successful series of commercials. Mac versus PC. You can look them all up on YouTube. There's a ton of them. They used to run these ads all the time. And it was 2 guys, Justin Long and John Hodgman. Justin Long played the Mac guy, and then the other guy played PC guy, and it would just be these 2 guys in like a white room, like talking about like their features and stuff like that. And it was kind of like there were comedy videos in the way. Justin Long was kind of like playing like the cool Mac guy, and then the real humor came from like the PC guy. Anyway, successful series of commercials that they eventually dropped. They haven't done them in like the longest time, and all of a sudden, Intel decides to hire the guy who played the part of the Mac. And, in these ads, he's in like the same white room when they start. And then eventually he like shifts over to another room. And he just goes over like all like these Windows PCs. and how great they are, how much better they are than like a MacBook. Like they have like the Windows laptops, I guess, and then they show like the Mac laptop, and it, all the things a Mac laptop can't do, right? It doesn't have a touch screen. Mac doesn't sell any convertible laptops that like, bend backwards. They make fun of the port situation, having like 4 USB-C ports. And honestly, these are all like really valid criticisms against the Mac. Like there's nothing wrong with these criticisms. These are legitimate reasons not to get a Mac laptop. They don't have touch screens. They don't have any convertible form factors. If you like those features, yeah, why would you get a Mac when you have a whole range of Windows PCs that will do that? Now, the problem for me with these ads is that this isn't Microsoft making the ad. This isn't Lenovo making the ad. This is Intel making the ad. And Intel doesn't make a laptop, as far as I know. They don't make a convertible laptop. They make the processor that goes inside of that laptop. So they're going over all these features that they literally have nothing to do with. In the PC space, you can actually get PCs with AMD chips, and you can actually get like Qualcomm chips in some of like these laptops now. And they all have these different form factors. So there's nothing specifically about the Intel chip that enables this form factor. And what Intel should really be talking about is the performance or the battery savings or something that their chip does. And in at least any of the ads I saw, they never even mention it. They never even mention like our chips are better at this or that. They just go, yeah, these have Intel inside of them, so they can do all these good features. And it just seems kind of like, it seems pathetic if you know the troubles that Intel has been facing in PC chip manufacturing, not even with Apple deciding to switch over to their own chips, but also like the competition they're currently getting from AMD, and they're like eating their lunch. Like AMD is making cheaper and more performant chips. Like they got like the greatest thing going. Their chips are cheaper and they run better. So Intel, we've been talking about this on GadgetCast for a long time. They're in like a really bad spot right now in terms of Apple deciding to make this huge shift and actually make their own chips. That's not a decision you make lightly. And also the increased competition from AMD, and I think in a few years, Qualcomm.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things I think about this. I made a video about this subject, and I want to reiterate for people who didn't see it. Number one, what a lot of people will say, well, didn't Apple just do this recently at their November event? Yes, they did. They kind of got the Intel guy, and PC guy.
Yeah.
The PC guy to come over. But number one, that was just at a little event. It wasn't a commercial. That was literally like this thing at this event. It wasn't something, I don't think they used it for any commercials, whereas this is just straight up a commercial. So it's a little bit different. And number two, and they'll also say, well, didn't Apple start this a long time ago? Yes. But think about this. Whenever you are, and this was the basis of my entire video. Whenever you are like the bigger entity, whether it be a company or whatever, you never punch down. You never punch down. It's a mistake on so many levels. When you are the smaller of the two, a lot of times you do punch up. You do go, oh, we're better than them. We're better than them. I mean, that's you're leveraging a larger name to boost yourself up. And that's what Apple did many years ago. They were boosting themselves up. Of course, they're going to do that. Intel have made a mistake because they have basically acknowledged that Apple came out with something recently that is something they should be worried about and that you should be paying attention to. If they never said anything, it would then show that they're not worried or not concerned. It's not on the radar, whatever. They showed their hand. They showed their hand by spending money on a commercial for no reason, because that commercial will convince nobody of anything. Whoever was buying a Windows PC laptop, they're going to continue to buy it. Whoever was buying a MacBook before that commercial came out, they're going to continue to buy it. It did nothing but shine a light on Apple, and seemingly in the technosphere backfired to a certain degree. So this was a bit of a stumble. It was just not It was not a good move on their part. It was kind of dumb. And the thing is like, I try to equate this in a lot of things in my video where, I talked about the mosquito is what I kept bringing up the point, but you also could put it up in, YouTube terms. Like if there's a smaller creator out there that puts like a hate video out on me, which has happened before, I just don't acknowledge it. And same thing with like hate comments stuff. I just generally try not to acknowledge it because it's not worth my time. And why would I give you the shine of the hard work that I've done? Why would I shine a light on you and perhaps accidentally promote you? Which is kind of what they did. Even in that commercial, they showed off a fake Mac with thinner bezels that doesn't even exist, which is kind of hilarious. It's like, oh, it looks like that? Crap, let me go buy one of those. This is what I'm talking about. You don't do this. You don't do this.
That was the weirdest part of these commercials. That like Mac I was like looking at him like, wait a minute, that thing like has like no bezel. Like, what are they doing? Like they made it look so good. I was like, yeah, Apple should like release that, and I'd buy it right away. Yeah, your point is super valid. At the end of the day, these like you can be like, oh, it's dumb that they got this guy to do it or whatever. You can say the commercials don't land. But at the end of the day, this commercial should help Intel's business. And I think all it does is really just put a magnifying glass on the fact that Intel has serious trouble with their chips, enough to the fact that Apple decided to manufacture their own to put inside of their Mac lineup. So I don't see this as a good ad for Intel. I just think it puts more of a spotlight on their chip problem. And again, I think any other manufacturer who made some of these commercials, it'd probably go over a lot better. But that's literally the point. Your point is so solid. When is the last time you went to a store and bought and let's be clear, an Intel laptop, not a laptop that's a Dell or compact or whatever that has an Intel processor, but an Intel laptop? Never. There's no such thing. So this is the processor company, not Windows, not to your earlier point, not Windows, which, oh, by the way, also Windows has done. Microsoft has done a commercial that's similar to that, which makes more sense, right? They're selling a product. But a processor manufacturer, that is hilarious. Even if they decided to do this, they should be comparing themselves against AMD. Yes. The
fact that Apple came up in their thought process alone shows they are shook. That is hilarious. I wish more people would have seen my video because I think in a lot of ways it's such a big deal. It's such a big deal that really shows that Intel is very concerned. They couldn't possibly not be. You do not spend the money on marketing. You don't get approval from leadership, which they have to, and then put it on the website. Like, there's no way that someone didn't go, well, we need to show everyone that our processor is still as good because everyone's getting all this good press. Listen, there's tons of laptops and everything else that have come out over the last couple of years, and I've never seen Intel take a commercial out against any of those. Like, what? Where's their commercial against AMD? Where is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, good advertising takes a feature or something about your product that is true, and you can like embellish that truth to like a point to make the ad like really stick. But if your ad has to like skate around other things or it's avoiding the thing you do, those ads usually like don't land. It's like yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a relevant ad that would be like the equivalent. I think some of the Surface ads were pretty good, but they used to do an ad which I don't think really stuck that well, where they would take the Surface Pro and say it was a laptop replacement and that you don't need a laptop after owning a Surface Pro. And they would always compare it against the really popular MacBook Air at the time, the older MacBook Air. And they stopped doing those commercials because I don't think they really landed, because people who wanted a laptop weren't interested in that Surface Pro form factor. People who wanted a tablet, a tablet that can run Windows, absolutely, give me that. But they were just comparing it directly against like the MacBook Air, rather than what they should have done is go, hey, look at the iPad. Our Surface Pro runs a full desktop operating system, and you can plug in all the accessories and everything, and you can play games on it. And what they used to do was just target the MacBook Air. because they used to pitch the Surface Pro as the tablet that could replace your laptop. Well, fast forward a couple of years and you can see that the strategy really didn't work out too well, because now Microsoft literally sells a Surface laptop. So it couldn't have worked out all that well. And that's kind of what it reminds me of. They're skating around the issues and what the product actually is. And for Intel, it's even more bizarre because it's just a processor. So you would think they would have an ad with, hey, there's Intel chips that are currently faster than what the M1 series does. So you think the ad would go, well, the M1's great for like low end users, but real professionals use Intel because we can go all the way up to 28 cores and all this stuff. But they don't even mention that right now. And they do have an advantage there right now. They do have a significant advantage when it comes to higher end chips because Apple isn't making any right now. That might not be the case in 2 years, but right now that would actually be a pretty good ad to run and go, you know what? These Apple laptops are fine for people who aren't doing too much, but you know what? Intel, we got, if you need to game and stuff like that, we got Intel processors. The M1 can't game. And I think those ads would be a lot better targeted and maybe would have people going, wait, if I get an M1 MacBook Pro, I can't load up Steam on it anymore and play all these games that I'm used to playing. I can't, there's no options. See, these ads would almost be better if AMD ran them, because AMD could be like, yeah, there's no discrete graphics cards either. And we got that too, whereas Intel doesn't even have a good graphics card division. So yeah, nothing really adds up when you start to think about it. It just takes 1 second of thought. And the point of these ads is immediately irrelevant.
Yeah.
Especially when there are Macs still running like Intel chips. Like there's no, there's PCs that don't have touchscreens either, and they have Intel chips. The reason why Intel can even make these ads is because the PC market space is just so big and so many different products that you could go buy a regular laptop with no touchscreen, and then you could go buy a laptop that converts into a tablet. So yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, there's different strokes for different folks, different tools for every situation. There will be situations where a PC will make more sense. Like my desktop setup right here is a PC setup. I still have my MacBook Air, and I'll be doing my full review for that here really soon, where that makes sense and where it doesn't make sense. So I always feel like you get the right tool for the job rather than trying to, fit a square into a round peg. So it was just a very strange move by them, and we'll see what happens moving forward. I hope they've learned their lesson. This really made no sense. Again, who are they trying to convince? And themselves is what I come to think. Are they trying to convince themselves? So we have a couple minutes left. We have this other thing we need to talk about, which is maybe tipping the hat of future Apple plans with iMacs and such being discontinued on the Apple site. We talked about the HomePod last week being discontinued. It looks like Apple is cutting some more products. Talk a little bit about this, Greg. What's going down?
Listen, Apple is doomed.
Yes.
No way around it, Travis. Apple.
I don't understand the difference between a Mac Pro and an iMac Pro. I thought they were the same damn thing. You have to help me out with this.
Listen, Apple, that we talked about on the last show, actually, that they discontinued the iMac Pro, right? And we kind of like, all right, Apple Silicon's coming. This is like a product from 2017. If they're not going to do one anymore, you might as well discontinue it. They were selling the remaining stock. And then we were like, all right, that makes sense. Probably, it doesn't mean like a new Apple Silicon iMac's coming anytime soon. I mean, we're expecting one this year, but it doesn't mean it's coming out tomorrow. The iMac Pro, it served its purpose at the time, and now it's time to move on. Well, things get a little bit weirder. Because all of a sudden they just released like refreshes for like the 21-inch iMac and the 27-inch iMac. And now on their online store, you can't order certain configurations of the smaller iMac. So you can only order like a 256 gigabyte configuration and then the one with like a spinning hard drive. And they like took out the 512 gigabyte version and the 1 terabyte version. And they didn't come out and say it's discontinued like the iMac Pro, but if you're reading between the lines, Apple's making this transition to Apple Silicon. We just talked about it in the last segment. And all of a sudden they don't have certain configurations to sell. That means that they're not making any more of them. they have the stock they made, and if they're getting sold out, that's it. Like, say goodbye. Like, they are getting ready to release this new iMac. Maybe it means it's coming out sooner, right? Like, Apple isn't the company I think of that would like leave money on the table by not having enough configurations ready. So maybe this product might be coming out in April. There was some speculation that maybe it will actually come out sooner. And yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards we might see that new iMac pretty soon. Because again, like you could make the argument like maybe Apple's like, you know, we're just not going to invest any more money into Intel stuff. So if it sells out, it sells out, whatever. We won't make money from that product. But I just know, like, if it was like any other CEO besides Tim Cook, like the supply chain guru, I would believe that more. But Tim Cook seems to have like everything pretty planned out to have stock in and then run out of stock immediately when a new product launches. So I'm thinking maybe we see this new Apple Silicon iMac sooner than we thought.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting time. I mean, that will be another further stake in the ground for them to really establish themselves as a true computing company. Not that they already weren't, but like a real true computer. And it's, again, another level of something because Intel doesn't make Windows.
Yeah.
AMD doesn't make Windows. Neither one of them makes Linux. So it's a different level of integration when the manufacturer of the processor is making the operating system. We've already seen what iOS can do with that. And the same thing on the Android side of things. None of the manufacturers of those processors make the operating system. They don't make Android. So it is interesting. You might say, well, Google does. Yeah, no. Google doesn't make the processor. So you're still in the same situation. They may make the phone, but they don't make the processor. So at the end of the day, like you have this integration that Apple just dominates at that allows them to do things like put out a laptop with like 12 to 13 hours or 14 hours worth of battery life. That's just as powerful as anything else you can get out there. It's really kind of crazy. So this is a good time for them. You know, is it gonna make a lot of people buy the you know, who are DC or PC hardcores buy a Mac? Probably not, at least not yet. If there's a reason to, what will have to happen is gaming's got to be a little bit more of a focus, number one. And then they have to bridge the gap on a couple of pieces of software that are PC only or that are dominated by PC. And once they do that, which, by the way, a lot of IT folks in these large corporations would be happy to transition all their stuff over to Apple. I know a lot of people in a lot of IT departments that I've worked in, including some very large corporate entities, use all Macs. The IT department themselves, a lot of times, their laptop or desktop is a Mac. So they would be more than happy to transition the entire company over to something like that rather than Windows. So let's be clear here. There is a tipping point that could come. I don't know if it's going to come. It's certainly not going to come super soon. But if you start getting these kind of down into a reasonable price and you've got this great performance and, you know, for as far as laptops go, great battery life, like it's going to be very hard to deny Apple in this space. No matter how much you can hate on the company, the reality is there. It's like, man.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's interesting. Also, I have a surprise topic because I totally forgot to talk about this. You don't have to take up much time. It's good that we put it at the end of the show.
Okay.
Listen, I talk about Xbox, you know, their controllers having batteries still, and then, you know, I got the...
Are you going to talk about Dolby? Because this is hilarious. Yeah. Go ahead. Please do.
So funny, and I want to talk to you about it because I want
to see how much of this you understand. I want to see how much of this you actually understand. Go ahead.
I think I understand a good bit of it. So, Microsoft released like a new gaming headset, which I think got like a ton of great reviews. Actually, it's like $100, and but like I was like reading some articles, and it's like it comes with 6 months free of Dolby Atmos, and I was like, wait a minute, Dolby Atmos 6 months free? That sounds like it's like a subscription service at first, and you're like, there's a subscription service for Dolby Atmos? That sounds really weird. But I looked into it a little bit more, and from what I can understand is that to get Dolby Atmos, you have to pay like a licensing fee. I think it's like like $10 or $15 to like use Dolby Atmos. Okay. That's what I understood from it. I don't
All right.
know if that's necessarily true.
Would you like to know the actual truth? Because it's less salacious.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So number one, Dolby Atmos actually does already work on the Xbox series of systems. What they're referring to is the headphone version of it. So in other words, you can use Dolby Atmos if you have like a soundbar or whatever directly out of your Xbox, not pay anything. That's already taken care of. If you want to use the headphone virtualization of it, they're giving you 6 months free through when you buy this Microsoft thing, and then it's a one-time fee of $15, which, by the way, is not specifically for Microsoft. It's a licensing fee, period. So if Sony were actually to support Dolby Atmos, which they should, I guess they're not going to for whatever reason, they also would have to pay the $15. So what's happening here is this. There's a licensing fee Dolby has for this technology. You can either have Microsoft pay that, and then your piece of hardware is more expensive, or to Microsoft's credit, they're like, probably enough people are not going to use it that we're not going to add that to the cost of the headphones. We're trying to hit this price target. So let's keep it at 100. We don't want to make it 115. That might, shave off a couple 100,000 sales. Let's just leave it at 100. Let's just keep the target there. And if you want it, you can pay. It's $15. We'll even give you 6 months free to check it out. So it's a Dolby thing. It's not a Microsoft thing. And secondarily, like I said, you can already do Dolby Atmos on speakers and stuff for free. Now, having said all that, Sony apparently has their own version of 3D audio technology that I guess they use through their headphones. So I don't know. I haven't tried it, so I don't know anything about it. So that's kind of the way they're getting around that. Having said that, again, Dolby Atmos is like the gold standard of all of that. So I don't know why they wouldn't at least have some support for it in some way. So I don't know.
So if I buy this licensing fee once, I can use it on anything. So if other products support,
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Transfer, like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like 1 second.
I don't know.
I think listen, you're probably right. Most people won't use it. I still think it's like really weird. Like, it's like a weird decision. Like, I get the price point.
They could have just not supported Dolby Atmos at all. And no one would have said anything because no one would have thought about it.
But it would make like this, like Dolby Atmos, like works like really well. So you think you'd want that in a product and it'd be like a huge selling point.
Dolby Vision, by the way, is also another thing that you have to license, which is one of the things that's coming to Xbox games now, Dolby Vision games. But that's being licensed by Microsoft. They're paying for that because they realize there's more people that are going to take advantage of that than this. I think they made a financial decision based off of it.
But most products are like, all right, we're selling this product. We are going to pay the licensing fee to use this technology. It's not very often you see a product get released where the company passes that down to the consumer.
It's a choice. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I don't know. I feel like the better decision for, listen, I don't want to think about this kind of stuff. If I'm a consumer, I feel like the better decision would be to charge $120, make a $5 profit, and be like, yeah, Dolby Vision headphones, we got them. Sony doesn't, and I mean, 120 is still not a lot of money. Like, that's fine. Hey, split the cost, make it 110, and support it out of the gate. I don't know. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's $15. It's just
I would love to hear directly from Microsoft what their thought behind it was like, because I bet they had no idea this was going to be a thing. And it's what it really was, a bunch of PlayStation fans really wanting to stir up something that's really kind of irrelevant, because that's been there forever. That fee has been there since the Xbox One. It even tells you when you install Atmos, it's like, here, you can do this, or if you want to be able to use headphones, it's $15. That's been there for years. It's not a new thing. This is not a new thing. So it's kind of this, well, let me find these things. I mean, it's so silly, man. It's so silly. But I understand what you're saying. It'd be nice if they're Dolby Atmos headphones that you get that. But in fairness, I got the Dolby Dimension headphones. They were $500 that didn't support from Dolby that didn't support Dolby Atmos. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like, what do you want from me? Like, you can't even get Dolby Atmos headphones from Dolby themselves. So I don't know. It was
now that's a story. It doesn't even come with Atmos, $500. I mean, I feel like that's the flagship feature. It's interesting though. You don't really think about like licensing fees in the world of tech, and there's like, every tech product that comes out is paying licensing fees to someone. It would be interesting if they like just pass that down to like consumer level stuff. I think you're right though. I think these headphones are $100. Again, I read some reviews on them, and I have a Series X. I was like, maybe I should pick these up. Like I normally like wouldn't, but like the reviews were like pretty positive for them for what they are. So, and they're hard to get, I think too. Like they're selling out pretty quickly. So I'd pay the fee too, because I like Dolby Dolby Vision. So
but the thing is, I have surround sound speakers, so I wouldn't put headphones on. It's just one of those things. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. And then here's the other thing. So does Microsoft come out and even comment on this, or do they just let it fall over because everyone's going to forget about it in a day or so anyway? If I'm Microsoft, I let it ride for a couple days and see what people say, especially considering the latest rumor is that, hey, you know, now they're letting people try Dolby Vision on games, and that's like a better thing. By the way, Greg, I've been doing a little research for the last 2 days of the new LG and new Sony OLED televisions, and I can't wait to get my new LG OLED television. It's gonna be so awesome.
Are you getting the 2021 one?
Yeah. I'm paying too much money for it because it is amazeballs, and it's better than mine. And it's gonna be better than yours, which is great. I love that.
Well, I have the 2020 version, which is excellent. It's really good. I don't even know if I'd want the new ones. I got like a killer deal on this thing. And
that's right.
Super happy.
I think I should get yours for
$1,500 for it.
Oh, that's a good price.
65 inch. Yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's great. I know the new ones are going to be like brighter, which I was kind of like, ooh, I want that. But honestly, I don't notice like glare on mine, so I'm good with it. But like, listen, this is going to sound controversial probably. I thought getting a PS5 would be like the biggest visual upgrade for me this year for gaming. The OLED TV was more of a visual upgrade than the new console was. Like I was playing like PS4 games on it. I'm like, they look entirely different. They look so good. So I love the OLED TV. I could never go back to like LCD, like regular LCD.
I was telling you, we would do those Amazon live streams. Remember we were doing those Amazon live streams? I'm like, bro. Yeah. Once you do it, man, it's going to change your life.
It ruins like other TVs for me. Like I look at like another TV now, I'm like, that doesn't look good. And it, like I'm looking at like a regular like monitor over here. LG announced like an OLED one. I really want it. And I'm like, I'm waiting for it to come out. And there's like they announced it at CES. I might, because I heard a rumor that these like monitors are going to be like $5,000, which is ridiculous. I'm not going to buy that. But they do sell a 48-inch version, which is smaller, right? 48 inches. I think I could fit on this desk. It would take up the whole desk, but I think I could fit it. I'm almost considering getting a 48-inch version of the 2021 OLED to use as like a giant monitor. So we will see. Maybe I'll be getting a 2021 OLED because that's like $1,400, and like the if the LG OLED monitor. By the way, that only supports 60 hertz too. And I'm using this mostly as like a gaming setup anyway for like streaming. I think maybe I should just get the 48-inch version because it'll just have 120 hertz like baked in. And I think
no. So the A series of LGs are 60. So you need to go to the C series or above.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're talking about C, yes, correct. Yeah.
I'm not A or B. I need C. That's a minus the C series. It does 120 hertz, HDMI 2.1. I need that. Those OLED monitors have it too, by the way. I don't know how they're. They better be like, if they're like $1,000, it'd be like sure, but like, how can you make? I don't get tech manufacturing sometimes. They're making a 32-inch OLED panel. You would think that's less material for them, and they're gonna charge more money for it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk more about television stuff next week as I continue to do my research. But we wanted to give some time to the live stream. So, of course, if you are listening on the audio podcast, we greatly appreciate it. Make sure you leave that. Please leave us a comment on Apple Podcasts. It actually helps a lot. So rate us on there. If you want to leave us an email or a voicemail, you can do that. Links are in the description on YouTube and, of course, in the show notes. And if you want to be here live, we're here live every Sunday recording this particular podcast you're listening to. If you're listening to audio, we do it on youtube.com/gadgetcast every Sunday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And we would love to see you here. And we just appreciate you. And sometimes what we do is a little bit before the recording of the show, we interact with the fans. So that's what we're going to do right now. So the audio listeners, we're going to have to say goodbye to them. What do you want to say goodbye to them before we do that there, Greg?
Goodbye, audio listeners. Thank you.
That's right. Well, anyway, he's Greg. I'm Travis. This is GadgetCast. We'll see you next week. a good episode right there.
Hey, Bob Grimes in the chat says, Rich, what is that? Review Tech USA, right? That's Rich, I think. Says the LG Nanotech TV is just as good as OLED. No.
I don't believe that. Here's the other thing. Go to HD TV reviews. Watch some of his videos. That dude is smart as hell. But the thing that's funny is he has all these little sexual innuendos that he pops in every so often that are just random, like out of nowhere. Like, for example, yesterday, I mean, he just says, I can't even repeat some stuff. He said, it's random. You're watching this guy talk about HDTVs in the most technical way. And he'll say something like, well, like last night, he was showing the 120 hertz gaming Fortnite. And he would say, if you look at here, when I go between 60 hertz and 120 hertz, you can see that the detail in the ground changes, which is totally true. He was on grass and you can see the grass kind of go away and there's this big bush there. And he goes, and watch the bush go away. And of course, we all like to have bush. And I'm like, well, what? Why did you say that? And then he does weird stuff like that. He does weird stuff. His information is so good. And he talks about that stuff. And listen, the dude is so intelligent. He found bugs in 120 hertz and stuff. This dude knows what he's talking about, dude. So if he says it's better, then that's one thing. But he's talking about these OLEDs are the truth. So that's it.
Listen, I no disrespect. People have personal opinions, but like I've seen the nanotech stuff, and I don't think it's as good as OLED. And also Andrew Edwards was like telling me like, yeah, like this 8K Samsung TV, and I'm like, it's not OLED though. He's like, no, it looks better. I'm like, no, it doesn't. I know it doesn't look better. There's no way it looks better. He's like, I prefer the way it looks, and I'm like, no. The technology's so different with OLED versus like LED panels. Maybe like some of like this mini LED stuff or micro LED might be able to close the gap. Yeah. But a lot of like these LED sets, they just can't because they don't have the contrast ratios that OLEDs have, which is like 1,000,000 to 1. And then you look at like the best rated LED TV, and it's like, yeah, it's got a 1,400 to 1 contrast ratio, and it's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I don't know. Right before I place my order, I'll go to like Best Buy and take a look at some of those other ones. But I mean, I'm pretty much sold on what I'm getting. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Let's get some questions from the chat. I saw some things coming up. Why do you have a wired on your headphones?
It's wired. It's plugged into a thing.
Plugged into a thing.
Into my Rodecaster Pro. It's plugged in. I can hear myself talk. That's why I have a wire. But these are Bluetooth headphones too, so you could do Bluetooth.
TJ's World says hi, Greg. I've been waiting for a good podcast after all. If you get your hands on Apple Glass now for $1,500, would you? Or would you wait 2 to 3 years to get it for $500?
Me? I get it for $1,500. I'm so excited about augmented reality, and I love to have like the new stuff first. $1,500 for Apple glasses? Sign me up. I spent more on the Fold.
I agree, man. And the funny thing is, when I started looking at the pricing of these new TVs, I'm like, I spent more than that on a Fold, man. I can't wait to get this TVs. See, Emma don't have 10 gigabit Ethernet. Do you think the new M1 Max will have it? 10 gigabit Ethernet. I just
think
don't.
So. I
mean, I don't know who's using that. I don't even have switches that do 10 gigabit. I have a gigabit house. I don't know. I don't want to hate on it. It looks like I'll have to wait 2 more years until the price goes down. Well, Rashad, here's the thing. I was watching the video last night from HD TV Reviews, and he was saying that this is one of the few times where he will say, don't get the 2020 cheaper because the 2021s are coming in at a price that's only a little bit more than the current price of the 2020s. He said, just go straight for the 2021s. Normally you go 1 year back and save a bunch of money, whatever. He's saying no. So yeah, I mean, if it depends on how much you want to save, but yeah. Okay. How do you say, okay, I'm not going to say it. How do you say this? I'm going to say it.
Nutella.
I say Nutella.
Nutella.
I say Nutella. I think I say Nutella. Nutella. I think I say Nutella. What's your opinion on the Galaxy Buds Pro? I don't have them, but I know that Jeff from El Heavy Reviews, good friend of the channel, says they're excellent. So I take whatever he says.
Yeah, same. I have no experience, but if Jeff says they're good, they're probably really good.
I want to try LASIK surgery. I'm kind of worried about it because I want to get it done because I think I would be a good person for it. I think like my sight is just bad enough but just good enough that it could actually be something that would work for me. I think. I don't know. Bob has his little docs in there, as you know. We got the docs and crew here.
I have perfect eyes. I don't need the surgery. But if I did need the surgery, I think I'd get it. I feel like I'd get it.
Why are you ignoring me, Travis? Do you need more fans? Yes, I need more fans. Same Bob. Feels amazing to lay my head on a pillow and still watch something that's not annoying. Yeah, for me, it's more about like right now I can see everything fine. I can read everything fine, but over time, like I can't read the backs of like packages and stuff now. It's just crazy.
What?
It's
Oh no!
like it's hard for me to read things on things. Like I'll take my phone, take a picture of it, and zoom in. It's ridiculous. I can see most stuff on my screen because I've made some of the text a little bit bigger and whatnot. So yeah, it's I would like to look into it after COVID's like completely squashed and I got my vaccine and everything. Which, by the way, I checked, and I'm still not eligible. Apparently,
yeah. I'm still wondering if I should lie and be eligible, but
yeah.
I shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I want to make sure that I can do that. Make sure you get plenty of consultation before going. Of course I would. I got my eyes couldn't because the doctor said they were too old. Oh, wow. That's not good. What's that all about? I don't know nothing about that. That's terrible. There's a Zoom app you can turn on settings for iPhone. I don't know what that means. Oh, Zoom setting. Yes, I know. I'm aware. I thought you meant Zoom like the teleconference thing. Yeah, no, I'm aware of that. I just make the fonts like bigger and stuff. Thoughts on Linux? I mean, it's been around forever. I used to do stuff on Linux a long time ago, and even very little Unix. But I mean, I don't know. It's not going to go anywhere. It's the basis of so much. Yeah.
I haven't used Linux in a long time. I hear like newer versions of it are like super easy, but with Linux, there's always like something that like just doesn't go right. So I don't know, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, if you can make Linux work for you,
there's Sony
like Linux.
Blame the times. Oh yeah, because the hour difference is changed here, but I think maybe not where Sunny is. Which I think changes what next weekend, Sunny, something like that. And I got my laser for what, Bob? What? Bob. Dang, man.
Give Travis the hookup, Bob.
I know, man. Well, he said his wife worked. In other words, ED, so she probably did. But if she still knows him, listen, I would love that.
I think they get it free for life. I think that's
right. That's what it is. Apple should make their own TV monitor someday. You mean like televisions in general? Well, that was the big rumor a couple years ago.
They were working on one at one point, and they never came out with one. I'd be in line for that.
Take a picture and Zoom. Yeah, tech for your needs, man. It's brutal. Hey, Sonny, we were talking about. Yeah, he said. Yeah, of course I want to hear a joke, but I was going to ask you what you thought about the fake leaks. I'd be interested to hear what did you always know it was going to be in April? For those of you who don't know, Sonny has been out there in the leak game for a long time, doing it big. Yes, but we would love to hear you. Air tags keep getting delayed. Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Are you saying that they're not going to come out in April, or are you just, is that the joke? Like, I'm trying to understand, Sonny. We need to have Sonny come on, but Sonny I don't think wants to come on.
I think AirTags, I said on GadgetCast multiple times, I think it's a fake product. I don't think it exists. In like 2 years we've been talking about this product. I think they don't exist.
It's so simple too. What the heck? I mean, Samsung came up with them and have them out there now. And it's like, what? It's crazy. What do we got here? Palmer Eye Institute in Palm Beach, Florida. Miami's in a state of emergency. It's crazy, man. Who knows what's happening with them anymore? Sonny's like, who knows? Sonny gave up. Yeah, man. Too many bugs. It's crazy, man. It's insane, man. Sonny's on the down. Sonny's in the upside down is what I call it. All my folks down there in the upside down. So I have to make a video because if you guys missed my video yesterday, please go watch it. I thought it was going to be really fun. I thought people were really going to love it. And YouTube's just not showing it any kind of.
Oh, shoot. We got to talk about that next week because I did watch that video.
You did?
Today. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I'm surprised you got any part of that working at all. I didn't,
dude. When I got to the part where there's so much that didn't make the edit, like so much I cut out. I legit was like, this is not even going to power on. And then when I got it, you saw me like do the front facing camera. And I was legitimately surprised. I'm like, this is where it's not going to work. And then I came to find out that assembly that I didn't get back in there was must have been the Face ID because it kept saying there's no Face ID. I'm like, all right, well.
It was a good video. I love that like the phone was like half put together, and you're just like, is this gonna turn on? It did turn on, to your credit, and like, yeah, that was,
and it works.
Okay.
It's in the other room. I'll bring it for next week's Gadgetcast. I'll bring it on and show it. It's an
we'll
iPhone
talk
10.
about it more on next week's Gadgetcast.
That'll be great. Yeah,
could watch that video. Hey, I also noticed like you're pretty close to 100K now. You got like 5K to go? Like,
yeah. I want this, Sonny. I want this. Are you following me on Twitter? I think you are. Yes, I would like that. I would like that, Sonny.
Now, Sonny, is like I heard like the design is like the same basically as the 2020. So like,
oh, if it's the same,
I already have a 2020 iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Is the dummy like the same? Like am I just gonna look at it and be like, oh
yeah, it's the same thing.
It's got to have a full camera.
Dark mode, good old Duke Miami. We love Duke Miami. Yeah, he's doing well. We come through every once in a while. Design is the same, camera is different. Oh, so the camera array in the back is different. Okay. Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Yeah, maybe.
I want this, yes. iPad Mini Pro, yes. I try to fix it. Yeah, so I'm glad. Listen, again, if you missed that video, it's on my channels. It just came out yesterday. Show it some love and share it around. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was actually gonna be terrible. When I was halfway through it, I'm like, I'm not even gonna release this. So I was starting to get stressed, and it ended up being a really cool video. People really seem to like it. It's just that YouTube isn't showing it to anybody. So please go check it out if you're into that sort of thing.
I'm really excited for when you hit 100K.
You?
I think it's gonna happen at least by next month. It has to.
At the rate I'm going, if I can continue with this, the rate of conversion on subscribers has never been this high, ever. It's never in the history of my channel been this high.
Travis and I discovered we've been doing YouTube wrong for like the past 3 years. So
100%. Yeah.
Discovered that. And my conversion's been like super high too. And I'm just like, I wonder how many subs I'd have if I just started doing this in the beginning, when like I was like kind of like I saw like other people do. I'm like, does that even work? I don't think so. Who's gonna hit subscribe just because you told them to?
I know, right?
Nah, John Prosper's like, nah, yeah, it works. And it's like, you're like, yeah, it works.
All right. Damn it. Yeah, I'm sad. So I don't know. I'll get there sooner than I thought I was originally, but a lot further back than I really wanted to be, but we'll get there at some point.
Hey,
it's
man,
kind of annoying.
like the fact that you could, I know like you're disappointed in that, but like the fact that you could even grow a channel to 100,000, I think is like a huge accomplishment.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Super hard to do.
That's true.
That is difficult stuff, man. And it's because it's so many, for people who don't like do it, there's so many ups and downs in that journey. The fact that anyone can stick with it is like to be commended. Seriously,
it's rough, man. It's rough. There have been moments. I know you know as well, man. There have been moments.
Saw, while we were doing the show, I just think I saw a sad video that I have to watch.
I
think Jonathan Morrison is leaving his studio, the studio that me and you went to, and that makes me super sad.
Oh, he put a video out? Okay, we'll watch that then. All right, look.
He said saying goodbye. I always thought we'd go back there one day, and now maybe we can't.
Well, I mean, I'm going to anyway, because now we know Matt can get us in there, but it's not the same. Yeah. I was worried about that. We'll talk about that off the air, but I was worried about that because of the recent things that have been going on. Okay. Anyway, we have a question from Sonny before we go. When are you guys upgrading your AirPods? No worry. I'm not upgrading. He has the AirPods.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm happy with my AirPods Max because they finally fixed the battery drain issue I've been having. So I've been using them a lot more, and they are really good. They're really good headphones. They're a little too expensive, but they're good. I like them. But for this show, I gotta stick with GadgetCast branded, and these I think are more comfortable for a longer listening session anyway.
Yeah. Plus they're GadgetCast branded.
Yeah.
All right. Look, we gotta go.
Make a GadgetCast branded headphones if you want me to wear them on the show.
I got to make a video that hopefully won't bomb tomorrow. So thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week and we'll do it again. Thank you, everybody.
Yep.